everyone, welcome to day one of Vlogtober. Today is Sunday, October 1st. This is the Sweater Weather Podcast, which is a YouTube channel all about knitting and other crafty goodness. I am going to try and do Vlogtober. However, I do want to try to stay as focused on the knitting part of vlogging as possible. My hope is to be able to include a little bit of knitting content every day, although I may not upload a video every single day in October. We shall see. I may throw in some other autumnal goodness. I'm really lucky to live in a part of the world that's got an amazing autumn season. I'm surrounded by hardwood forest, and at this time of the year, I just can't even say how amazingly beautiful it is here. And I really want to share that with everybody. I know that not everybody in the world is lucky enough to live in the part of the world that has 4 seasons. And if you do have 4 seasons, you may be going into spring right now rather than autumn, or you just might not have such a definitive type of fall season as we have here in Canada. The fall season that we get to experience here in Canada is absolutely fantastic, and I just want to be able to share it with all of you. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I do want to try to focus on the knitting content more than anything else. So just to get started, I want to show you what I have on my needles currently. Oh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? So this is a test knit for Nicole of the Professor Purl podcast, and I just started it today. I just cast this on today. It is a 2 skein shawl that she will hopefully be releasing in November. The 2 skeins are held double, and let me just show you what I have here. So I put my 2 skeins on one of these spinning yarn holders so that when I'm knitting, I can just pull them off both at the same time. It's making it very easy to keep the 2 kind of managed. And let's just talk about the yarn for a second. The yarn, so the yarn is Wandering Flock. One of the bases is 80% kid mohair and 20% silk. It's a 50-gram skein of lace weight mohair. There are 430 yards or 393 meters on the skein, and the color is Rainbow Sherbet. And I'm just in love with it. And then the other skein is also Wandering Flock because it is a matching skein. The color of the fingering weight is, sorry, I have some mohair. The color of the fingering weight is also Rainbow Sherbet, so they're matching. And this is 100% superwash extra fine merino, 100-gram skein, 400 yards or 365 meters. And I bought these yarns at Knit City, Montreal. So I remember walking around the venue and, oops, that's my knitting needle. I turned the corner and this booth, it was absolutely stunning. It was like a little slice of pastel heaven in there. I wanted everything in there. I wanted the whole kit and caboodle. And I had never seen wandering flock yarn before. I think there are a few stores in Canada that do sell it. I think Knitting Loft, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But I haven't been in any stores that have it, and I haven't seen it close up until I saw that booth. And even though I had already bought a lot of yarn, I knew I couldn't leave there without at least getting a matching set of the mohair and the fingering weight yarn. They had a lot of really nice samples, and originally when I bought this, I thought I was going to be making a winter toque or like a beanie with a pom-pom. That was my original plan. That's what they had for store samples. But when Nicole made her video and for YouTube and did her call out for test knitters, I knew that these yarns would be perfect for this. And I really love the thought of being able to showcase the yarn in just one shawl without other colorways vying for attention and that sort of thing. I just love the idea of having a pillowy, soft shawl in this colorway, and it's giving marshmallow to me. There's something about the colors that really make me think of marshmallows or sherbet. I can see on the screen that it does have a rainbow sherbet kind of feel to it, but with the mohair, it's just so scrumptious and soft and light. So I'm really looking forward to having this as a finished object. And I really want to get the majority of this shawl finished before Thursday, which is the start of the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. And I definitely will talk about that in future videos because I've bought yarn for that, I've skeined it up, and I want to show it to you, and I want to talk about it because I'm also excited for the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along, which I am currently, I want to say 0 for 3 with the Stephen West Mystery, maybe only 0 for 2. 0 for 2 with the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along for various reasons, and we can talk about that in a future video. The other thing I wanted to show you just really quickly is when I'm using to count my rows and keep track of my increase rows. Have you guys seen these? I haven't seen these shown on any other knitting podcast, but I watch a lot of knitting podcasts and maybe I just didn't catch it. But these are like those fidget poppers, and it's so satisfying to pop, like when you knit a row, to just pop it. Oh, it's, of course it won't now, but sorry, I'll turn it over and try. Yeah, you can kind of hear it. So I guess I'm like a little kid, but I find it super satisfying. I love the rainbow colors. I think this particular one, and I just ordered it off of Amazon, but I think this, you can get them at dollar stores too, apparently. I think this particular one is used for teaching math skills because I don't know if you can see it, but it's got like numbers across. And I think that if you do, you could use this for multiplication. And actually, I wish I had this when I was, when my kids were in grade school, because I think they would have loved this for learning their numbers and their multiplication tables. So I really like it anyways. And as I said, I'm using it for knitting, to keep track of my knitting instead of ticky marks or hashtag, instead of ticky marks or hash marks on a paper. I also have really nice markers that have numbers that you slip as you knit, but they work better in the round. This is worked back and forth flat, even though I'm using circular knitting needles, and I just find they don't work as good. They work, but they just don't work as well as when you're knitting in the round and you keep coming up to it and moving it from one side to the other. So I prefer that. Somebody told me about that at knit night, and I thought, oh wow, that's genius. But I didn't realize how genius it was until I started bumping the numbers, and I was like, okay, this is addictive, and it makes you want to just knit one more row. I should mention also that I'm knitting on size 9, US size 9 knitting needles, and this is a 37-inch cord. I did start off with size 10 knitting needles, but when I did start off with the size 10, I found the fabric was just a little bit too holey for my taste, and the mohair wasn't really filling in the gaps nicely the way I like it to. So I made a mistake. I made a mistake when I was knitting with my increases, and I said, I was right at the beginning. I was just right at this part. And I said, this is the perfect opportunity to just frog it, start again. I mean, I barely started, and try with the size 9 knitting needles. And I like it a lot better with the size 9 knitting needles. So this right here is just a marker to remind me of which side is the front. And I always like to put my markers for the front. I like to move it and keep it along one edge. Especially where like I'm doing the increases, because I see it and it reminds me to do the increases. If I put it down here, I'm not always going to see it, but up here close to where I'm going to do the increase, that's where I like to put it. So it's just a little trick that I use that helps me. Maybe it would help you too. So I like to make a fall bucket list. Even though we have a beautiful autumn season in Canada, it can be short, lasting just a few weeks, especially if we get like a fairly large like rainstorm or windstorm. The leaves all go and then it's over and the snow flies and that's it. So it doesn't really last months here. We're kind of lucky if it lasts 6 weeks. So usually mid-September, the leaves will start to change, and by the end of October, by Halloween, that's usually the end of it, I would say. And that's like a good year. So I wanted to make a fall bucket list because I want to really take advantage of the season. I want to really enjoy the season and savor the season. And it's, as much as I love knitting and sitting in my cozy home with my candles burning and all of that, and just enjoying podcasts, I watch podcasts on my TV and listen to audiobooks. As much as I love all of that, I feel like if I don't make an effort to get out and do some autumn type activities, that I won't enjoy it as much as I could. And I feel like if I post it here, maybe it'll help me stay a little bit more accountable, and maybe I will do some more autumn activities. So I'm just gonna run through my autumn bucket list really quickly, and then we'll see at the end how many of these things I managed to get. I certainly don't expect that I will do all of these activities, but I'm a list maker. I love making lists, and if I can even do some of these, I'll be very happy. So I want to start with read a dark academia book. So for those of you who are not familiar with what a dark academia is, it's the type of book that's perfect for this year. It's a whole genre unto itself, and I have read dark academia books in the past. At this time of year, like I read Donna Tartt's A Secret History, which I think is probably the quintessential dark academia book, but there are other ones. I also read The Maidens. I'll put it up because I don't remember who the last name of the gentleman who wrote that book is Greek, and it's quite long. Michael Meades, maybe, I'm not sure. He also wrote The Silent Patient. I thought The Silent Patient was better, but The Maidens was good too. It was a good read. It was a good mystery. So dark academia is its own genre book where the setting of the book is usually at a post-secondary college or university. It's moody. There's generally a mystery, sometimes a murder. It's really hard to kind of pin it down. When you read it, you know it. There's usually a group of students. Oftentimes they're very cliquish and keep to themselves, and it's often about the relationships between these characters. And I don't know why, there's often an alcohol kind of element to all of this that just comes with the whole dark academia vibe. There's libraries, there's manuscripts, there's always like a back to school element, which is why dark academia is such a great genre of book to read at this time of year. Anyways, that was probably way too long-winded, probably more information than you ever wanted to know about dark academia. But anyways, I will be reading at least one dark academia book this autumn. So I want to read one or more spooky books, mystery books, murder books, ghost books, anything that's spooky, autumn. I like cozy mysteries too. They don't have to totally be scary at all, although I will read that too. I guess the one type of book that I won't read, or that I absolutely do not like, are horror or murder books that have a lot of body horror and very descriptive body horror. I don't like that. I find that really, I don't know, disturbing, and more than I'm interested in reading about. When it's just about how gory and disturbing can we make this book, that's not for me. Pumpkin Pie Blizzard. So I actually don't know if Dairy Queen is only in Canada or if they have Dairy Queen in the US. I feel like if you don't know what Dairy Queen is, it's like the Canadian equivalent of Baskin Robbins, maybe. It's an ice cream, it's a chain ice cream store that also has, you know, ice cream birthday cakes and different things like that. You may very well have them in the US. I doubt they're a worldwide thing. But anyways, they make an ice cream, kind of like a ice cream. They make something called a blizzard. I think you can get those types of things also at like McDonald's. Ice cream kind of whipped up with other things in it. So one of our traditions, one of the things that we like to get every year are pumpkin pie blizzards that you can get at Dairy Queen. So that's on my bucket list. Having a cozy campfire outside, definitely on my bucket list. Morning coffee by the lake. So I've actually never done that before. It's not like it's a tradition or anything. Where I live is very close to a lake. We have deeded access to the lake with other people that live in this area, in particular on the road that we live on. So one of the things that I would really like to do is get up early before dawn, pack up some coffee, get my lawn chair, get a blanket, and go sit by the lake and have my coffee wrapped in my blanket and watch the sunrise. So that's pretty high priority on my bucket list. I have other things on my bucket list, like going to a pumpkin patch and going apple picking, farmer's market, those types of things. I definitely have the Stephen West MCAL on my fall bucket list. Lighting candles, taking a scenic fall drive, walking on the local trails. carving a pumpkin, completing an autumn puzzle. I would also like to go on a fall colors chairlift ride. So the area that I live in is very mountainous and it has a lot of ski hills around here. And one of the things that they do is you can pay money to just take the chairlift up to the top of the mountain and get a nice view of all the fall colors. So I would really like to do that. And then next week there is supposed to be a pop-up cinema at one of the cemeteries, and I would like to go to that. So again, bring some popcorn, snacks, chair, blanket, and just watch the movie. I think that would be fun in a really weird and morbid kind of way. It's a horror movie too, of course, but not one that's super scary. I think it's black and white. I think it's an old one, so I would like to do that. I think that's it for now. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Damn.